Alright, hey everybody, this is Will from the Productions², and we're back tonight to do some streaming. We're going to be starting with Emilar again. Like I mentioned on the last stream, a lot of the streaming from now until September is going to be focused on that because I'm going to try and get a alpha version of the demo out by then, so I can throw it up on the Patreon page and have something to have for patrons when we go ahead and launch the Patreon page. But for the moment, what I'm doing now is I'm actually reinstalling all of my mods. So for whatever reason, probably because of the last update, all of the mods that I had installed got uninstalled. I think CCAN did that automatically when the whatever the new one's called, new expansion to KSP came out was called. So it had a new update for it, and then it did some weird stuff. It flashed a window up and automatically clicked on OK or something, selected OK or something, and I think it said uninstall other mods or whatever for the update or something. But so these are all reinstalling now, along with a few new ones as well. So hopefully that'll be done by the time we're ready to work on it, to stream it. So I've been doing a little bit of work on Emilar the past little bit. One thing I did was I took all the events that I had for doing the light tinting changes for the times of day, and I put them into common events now. So all I have to do is call these common events, and boom, I can change the day. I can either set the tint or change the tint gradually, turn lights on and off. Key thing about lights on and lights off, they don't work unless you have a number on them. So if you just say lights off, it doesn't work at all. You have to have a number on it in order for that to work. Otherwise, the lights are always on. That's if you don't go in and mod it to work otherwise, which I'm going to do. I've got a couple ideas for cleaning up this plugin a bit and making it a little bit more user-friendly as well. So my version of this plugin will be a little bit different from everybody else's, but that'll be for later. So just kind of give you an idea of how that works, though. Let's see. I think I still have myself over here. No, I don't. I'm not there. I'm at a different one. Am I at this one? Aha, that's where I'm at. I'm at the Scene 2 Claria. Alright, so let me just go ahead and just run this. Yeah, that's fine. I also put in some lights. These are just placeholders for now. I'm going to have to try and find some other light sprites somewhere. I'm thinking about getting the tile set builder that whoever's publishing RPG Maker now has. So this is what it looks like during the night. I'll probably change where these are put at too. I'll put them like these ones will go against the wall right here on both sides of these guards. It makes more sense because, or maybe even, oh yeah, it would have to be there because otherwise they're going to be blocking teleport slots. Just because it would make more sense to put them near where the guards are at so they have better visibility. But yeah, so now if I go down to myself here and I say change to day, say morning, gradually will get darker. The lights go off after a while. I'll need to adjust the wait time on that so to actually do it a little bit later. And this is supposed to be morning. It's a little bit too blue. It probably needs a little bit to go a little bit lighter. So then day, that goes to full white tint. So normal tint. And then say evening. And this is all running off with the common events, so I just have to call those common events instead of having to do the plugin commands every time. It works because then you don't have to do a parallel event that then switches to an empty event. You just call the common event itself, and it just does what it's supposed to do. So it'll save some eventing. You still have to have a thing in there that has like the light thing in it though. Gonna try and work on fixing that. And then, of course, night. And if this still works, yes. And so we get going to night, and the lights flip on. I actually like this light plugin a lot. Just like the fall off is nice. Like, for example, we're kind of sort of in shadow here, and then you get closer to it, you're in full brightness. So I mean, you could potentially somehow with maybe a plugin and implement some kind of sneaking elements or something, where if you stay a certain number of tiles away from a light source, you can't be seen very well or something like that. Not something I would be looking to do with mine, but if somebody wanted to do something like that, they could do something like that probably. It would be very dependent on the radius of the radius of the lights, though, too. Anyway, so that's one of the things I did. I also went in and cleaned up some of the dialogue in the week 1 Herschel thing. Don't think I did much else over there. I did try and fix the whole vanishing other NPCs thing from last week, but I haven't tested that yet to see if it actually works. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing the week 2 stuff. So if we go back over here, I've already kind of reordered all the guards around. I haven't given them really new text so much. Some of them won't have, like this guy's still going to be up there. It's the same one from week 1. Everybody else has kind of moved around to other places, though. So they'll get new text when you go and try and talk to them. They'll actually talk to you, I think, this time legitimately instead of just telling you to go to here, because now you're a trainee, so they might have like advice or something for you. Since this is week 2 as well, I think we'll probably change the placement of these, so they're not always the same. No, I think it'd be interesting to say that it'd be interesting to have like a time-based thing here, though. Like, say, like once you, because every time you're supposed to come here, you'll go to your house to sleep first. So every time you do that, the longer you take, the more these front rows get filled up, and then you have to sit in the back row and take less points for it or something. It'd be interesting to try and do something like that, but that might be more for the beta than the actual alpha, between alpha and beta, rather than now to alpha. So for now, I'm just going to just put them wherever. And I guess we'll leave one open here in the front for the moment. We'll need to change these though. So let's see. The front row was, so that's back row is -2. No, back row is -10. Front row is +6, I guess. Yeah, I guess it is +6. So it's -10. 10 might be a little bit too harsh. Let's say -4 instead of 10. I'm gonna change my mind on that. We'll make these ones. We'll make these ones 4. It'll be 10 for the first day, the first week for sure. But for the rest of the weeks, it'll be just -4. We're also gonna have some things in this week where you'll be asked questions. A random question from the stuff that Herschel talks about, and if you get it right, you get 25 points to your recruit points. If you get it wrong, you get 10 points taken off. So that's 2, and this should be 6. Yep, okay, good. Alright, since this is week 2, we don't need that. And to be honest, you probably don't need him up here either, so I'm actually just going to copy him down to the first floor somewhere. We'll say this is his office back here. Okay. And we'll get rid of him from here, so don't need that. We also don't need this, and I can change her dialogue as well. I could say flipping him off, but no, that's a little bit too, too just kind of crazy. Okay, whoops. This. I'll just delete this page entirely. We don't really need it. And we won't need that either. Okay. So, floor 2. Now, I did start working on this last night. I kind of stopped because I was watching this while Max was doing his first stream after they had moved into the new place, and looked down at the clock and up at the clock, and it said 2:30 a.m. and I was like, oh shit. So I stopped right there. So this is going to be more about talking about the weapons and some of the the basic kind of how to fight for dummies kind of stuff, and also some of the other things I'm going to try and implement, like having certain scenarios where for, I don't know if they'll necessarily be bosses, but for like certain side quests or something where you have like a more powerful enemy that'll be like on screen roaming around, you'll have the ability to like maybe somehow do damage to it before you actually start fighting it somehow. The way I had thought of it was that you would, if you were able to get around behind the enemy without from behind the monster, and being able to figure out how to actually detect that, you'd be able to like encircle it and do a certain amount of damage based on a couple of factors, some RNG and also some formulas based off of all the total attack, the total average attack of all your characters' regular attacks. When compared against, and then calculated against the enemy's defense and stuff and whatnot like that, and their resistances and all that, and then whatever that damage is, you would do that times like 5 or 6 times that amount of damage before you start the battle, and then that would give you like an advantage. Sort of like, kind of like a surprise attack, but more substantial because it'll be more involved in that. You'll actually have to give orders out, and if you get the wrong ones, the enemy could break your formation and do damage to all of you instead. And that's something that gets kind of highlighted during a scene towards the end of the training that you will see in the demo. That has consequences for the story. Anyway, so so this is going to be about dealing with some basic fighting. I said information because I couldn't think of a better term for it. We'll leave it there for now. Weapons, fighting weapons, and whoops. Okay, fighting weapon and I'll call it encirclement tactics. So the thing that maybe I'll figure out how to create will be called the encirclement system or something like that, where you'll literally like encircle an enemy with your party. Definitely, I'll probably have to be some sort of plugin. I'll have to figure out how to do it all though. Should be interesting if I can pull it off though. So, okay. I think we'll do batch entry on this. I hate doing batch entry, but I hate it more so because when you do this and you're off a row, going back through to fix everything is a nightmare. You just I guess I have to learn how to count properly. All right, so this is the first line of the next window. So let's see, we've got to figure out how many classes of weapons there are going to be. This is what happens when you don't actually map out all the data in the database before you start working on the dialogue. Now you have to figure it out. So there's definitely going to be traditional like swords, weapon. Talking about classes here, not subclasses. So there's definitely going to be swords. There's going to be maces / clubs. There's going to be axes. There's going to be spears. There's going to be bows / crossbows, rods and staves. There's going to be gloves and knuckles and those kinds of things. And what else? Probably some other kinds of items like grimoires or something like that would be more advantageous to like magical classes, as opposed to just like a rod or a stave. It'd have like more impact in terms of like maybe the elemental kind of capacities that they would have. And then we'll have subclasses. Like in swords, you would have one-handed swords, two-handed swords. You'd have katanas. Within the one-handed class, you'd have like katanas, and I guess it'd be one or two-handed. But you'll have like a whole breakdown of things. So let's see: swords, maces, spears, guns, bowish kind of weapons, rod kind of weapons, axes. Counting 9 so far. Tile set? No. And where is the icons? Here we go. Daggers. That's another one. Oh, whips. Yeah, whips too. Scythes. Yeah. So yeah, let's see. Daggers, swords, axes, whips, staves, bows, guns, knuckle, glove kind of weapons, spears, daggers, books, scythes. So we'll say we'll say 12, just because. So we'll say 12, and then we'll also break it down into sub groups. So let's go ahead and actually map this out. Time to get my Eve Excel chart on. Eve Excel charting on, I should say. All right, so we have. Classes without the hack mark there. So weapon classes, subclass 1, and then subclass 2. So you can have up to 2 subclasses, meaning you can have, so like you have swords, general weapon class. Then the first subclass would be one-handed, and then the second subclass would be a list of different types of one-handed swords. And then each of those types would then have a few different sword items using them, for example. So it's swords. Mine decided to fart out there for a second. Bows, rods, staves. So I guess a staff is something made out of wood or wood-like thing, and a rod is something made out of metal, I guess. That's the only difference there. So what else do we have? We got axes. We have aves. That's not axes. Guns. We have scythes. Whips. Right. Whips. Whips. We need gloves / knuckles. Not the echidna. / claws. Spears. What else? I know I'm missing a few. Wow, that thing is like laggy as hell moving around. What the crap? So spears, axes, we got those, we got those, we got those, we got those. Maces, we don't have those. Maces, clubs. Books, I guess, yeah, we said books. Well, grimoires, let's call them grimoires. I think that's how you spell grimoires. That's right, Excel has no spell check. And I don't have Word open. So, Mr. Grimoire, how do you spell yourself? Grimoire. Okay, I spelled it right the second time and not the first time. It's I-O, or O-I, not I-O. Alright, grimoires. Fancy way of saying Book of Spells. It's the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons version of Book of Spells. Anyway, so swords. We'll need to insert a couple rows here. So, one-handed, two-handed. I'm not going to go too far down into this for the moment. I just want to do the general kind of outline of this just so we have enough material to... daggers are daggers, really. I'll probably be able to find something that's like a subclass of dagger somewhere, but for now, we're not gonna worry about that for now. All right, so now we got bows. So we call them short. Let's say call it short bow. Long bows. And then a crossbow. So the only difference would be that a longbow would have more attack power than a short bow would. And if I ever decide to do like a attribute requirement system for equipping weapons, then the longbow would require more strength to use as well. It has a much heavier draw due to it being a much larger bow. And then crossbows. Let's make this a bit easier. So for guns, we'd have pistols, long rifles, well, I guess we call it pistols, rifles, shotguns, and gun blades. Oops, I need to copy this again. Insert and do one more. Come on. I probably could just select 2 and have it do the same thing. Or no, I'm thinking of something else. Word, I'm thinking of the words table system. Scythes, there's no real scythes or scythes. So we'd have 2 classes of whips, I think. We'd have normal whips and blade whips. Obviously, we'd have 3 different categories of these. Spears. So a poleaxe is slightly different from a spear. Poleaxe is a spear with like an axe on it. Literally what it is, poleaxe. So I'll do 2 there. Maces, clubs, obviously gonna be 2 there. Grimoires will have 1. Alright, so staves, rods, and staves. Axes, one-handed, 2-handed, guns, pistols. And that can be any type of any length of gun. You know, any of these kinds can be turned into gun blades. Scythes, whips. We said whips and blade whips. I thought there was a B in there that shouldn't be. Gloves. Okay, gloves, knuckles, and nickels. Now we're not throwing zinc-covered nickel coins at them. Knuckles. And claws. Spears and pole axes. Maces and clubs. And grimoires. Alright. So here's our breakdown of main weapon classes and then the first subclass. Then like I was saying, like for one-handed you would have like say it's like your traditional short sword, maybe a long sword, katanas, tadachis, I think. Maybe those are the two-handed. But yeah, so that's kind of like how all these will be broken down. And then underneath those, we'll have individual weapons of those subclasses. Trying to think how that would apply for the actual weapon type, though, because you can only have one weapon type. So this stuff might be more academic as opposed to actually encapsulated in the game. It might just be more kind of like referential as far as the stats of it. Like for example, like a two-handed battle axe would have much more a much more armor penetrating power than say like a dagger would, for example. Or maybe a certain type of sword would have more, would be more averse to like a cutting, like a katana is more of a cutting sword than a stabbing sword, as opposed to say like a traditional just kind of bastard sword would be more, is more of like an all-around sword that's made for cutting and stabbing. And those are all going to be kind of mechanics that'll go into, not game mechanics, but mechanics that'll go into determining the different abilities of the weapons and other items and things like that as well. Like, for example, there'll be like a question that we'll make here that'll say if you were fighting an enemy that was heavily armored and you had a choice of any weapon, any type of sword, which type of sword would you pick? And it'll give you some choices, and it'll actually kind of be a red herring, so there'll actually be more than one correct answer, but there will also be more than one wrong answer. And the correct answers will be the ones with the swords that are more made for swords or weapons. Well, I guess it would be swords because I said swords. That would be more for armor penetration than anything else. So, now that we have that, we can continue. Alright, so of course I closed it, so now we're going to start a whole new window here. Alright, weapons. There are, said, how many types? I already forgotten it. I said 12, but I don't think it's 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, hell, there is 12. I was just pulling a number out of my arse. Okay. There are 12 manner. Where'd the N come from? Oh, N's next to J, that's why. Major weapon types. So, swords. Daggers, bows. Just gonna go down the list of overhead that we've got. Rods and staves. Axes. No. Let's start a new line. Axes, guns. Ah, come on. Go away, period. Do not need you yet. Guns, scythes, whips. Definitely gonna need a new window. Let's grab that. Gloves. English is always fun, going from the traditional comma to a Oxford comma in the same sentence with both of them present. makes for exploding the minds of readers and turning on their inner grammar Nazis, which could be a dangerous thing. Knuckles. Oops, not capital knuckles. Knuckles and claws. Spears. Interesting. Maces and clubs and bloods. Damn it! That's what I get for trying to type and not clue. God, trying to type that, looking at what I'm typing. And grimoires. There should be an N there. So that's the second one. I think we'll actually just go 3, 4, new window each. Okay, that's 3s so there. So it's 4. I could probably fit armor in here. I don't think that'll fit there. No. 1 character too many. So I guess we'll go into the... We'll go one level deep into the hierarchy. Two major subclasses. It's another 4, so we'll start a new one. Okay, what else do I want to say about it? Trying to think of word salads that are not word salads that actually mean something. So I guess that doesn't make them word salads. Word buffets. We can put into here that can expand this a bit more. Wielded. What? Going too stewy on those whips and wields and things like that. Allows you to equip or equip. What? Okay, let's see. That once again, my brain outpaced my fingers. The one hand is supposed to go to him allows you to equip a shield. Oh, duh. Alright, or another type of one-handed weapon. I'm wondering if we should implement some sort of system that allows you to change your equipment in battle to take more advantage of this whole idea I have for the weapon system. Let's actually put that comma where it actually belongs, instead of just hanging out in the middle of the air at the beginning of a window. I'm going to find them lacking. Alright, I was going to put it on the next one. I think that was the fourth row. Yeah. Then I'm gonna say another. We can say wheel again. Okay, so third row or third line. And let's say lesson. So slow down. I want to say movement. Lessen your agility. Probably should be a new row in there somewhere. Yeah, like that's like zoomed through like 2 windows there. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3. So that's fourth. So this should be a new one. Oh crap! Now we gotta readjust everything. Let's make sure we're also keeping in mind. So this is the fourth one, so the next one's going to have another one. That wasn't too bad. Of course, now when I hit OK, it'll probably be all messed up, of course. And what else could you say about two-handed weapons? I mean, it's what they do. Hey, frack shit up. Alright, let's see. Penetration. Maybe I'll add something in there about them requiring more strength if I do an attribute. The only problem with doing that is that I have that point system, the attribute enhancement system, and that some random dude made, and I kind of altered a bit, where you can add on like bonus points to your stats. That's the only thing that would like prevent me from doing that system, because if I did that attribute requirement system to equip things, I'd have to keep in mind that you might be able to equip something much more powerful than you should be able to. So maybe it would be a level and a, because in some games like in Spellforce, for example, I think it was, or Spellforce 3, I think there was a level requirement, then there was a stat requirement as well. So that might be something. Maybe that would get around that. In other words, so you can have like maybe twice the. Okay, this has piqued my interest for a second here. Oh, okay. Interesting. So Barrett's voice actors leaked that that's kind of. I wonder what that could mean. That's interesting. So yeah, it looks like FF7 is going to be at FF7R is going to be at the Tokyo Game Show, and there's going to be some sort of new stuff made just for that. So also we will see what happens. Let's see. TGS is I think it's middle of next month. The 19th next week is Gamescom, and they've announced that the demo is going to be at Gamescom. They haven't said there's going to be anything new though. I'm starting to think there won't be anything new for the remake there. I think they're keeping all that for Tokyo Game Show. Okay, so and really that's all you can really say about it. Yep. I'll see. So we have that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Swords are. Well, I don't know all the classes we're going to have, so we'll leave that part out. I was going to say swords are more favored by blah 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 classes, but I haven't even worked out all the classes yet, so. And what all that stuff's going to be, so I'm not going to mention it yet. That'll be something to add in later to make this even longer. Daggers. You can kind of put in drop in a hint here. Agility. I'm trying not to like reference a turn order in battle as much as possible. I mean, to us, it's a turn order, but for like in an actual, if you're like putting yourself into the battle and actually fighting the battle, it's more of like an initiative, maybe like you know how long it takes for you to attack with this weapon, and you're trying to time it up so that when you attack, you don't get counterattacked, kind of thing. So it's trying to not use specific terminology is kind of insane from a story point of view. Okay. So I think we're past 4 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Luckily I didn't go too much further. So kind of hinting that daggers can be used to inflict statuses at a greater rate than other weapons can, just because of the fact that they are smaller, they're weaker. So the designers of daggers have to come up with a way to make them more appealing to people to use. So they have different effects on them. See, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Crap, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's got to be one here. Right. Crap. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the last one on this row. Okay. What else is there to talk about daggers? Like other one-handed. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. One more. All right. So, well, not one more, but another one. Next are bows. Projectiles. Yep, spelled right. Varying, I think varying is this one. The range won't matter. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I think that should have a... yeah. Okay. Again, so hinting that certain, maybe crossbows will have a certain rate of instant kill on them to targets that have under a certain amount of armor. And I think that what it'll do is armor may be defense, or it might just be some other, maybe it'll be like a modded plugin kind of thing I'll make where there'll be an element or something that will have a value in that if that value corresponds to armor, and it'll be used to multiply their defense. Yeah, it wouldn't be like a lot. It would be like between 0 and maybe 2. 2 would be the absolute maximum. And that would be used to kind of determine that kind of thing. Maybe. That might be getting a little bit too much into the weeds, so. But that'd be like way the hell out further down the road that I'd put in something like that. So lethal at close range to unarmored targets. They and their tips, we'll say. So the tips. Alright, so probably need to separate these out a bit. Okay, so there's the first window break. And there's the, let's see, okay. Alright, so I actually didn't have to do too many. Let's see. We're on to the fourth one. God, this is gonna be a while. Staple, not stable. Staple of Holum. How do I come up with these friggin' typos? Jeez. Turn to weapons. What else? Talk about these. Okay. And that's literally all we're going to say about this. Axes. Pairing with with one-handed weapons. Pretty sure it's not spelled correctly. Alright, probably at least one window in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. Almost. Varieties. And I know it's not spelled right. Varieties. God damn it. Alright. I closed Word. Why did I close Word? Should know never to close Word. You know what? This actually probably be much better to put in over here. So that way I don't have to worry about... Yeah, it's much larger than that small window. Oh, okay, that's why. That's why I don't want to do that. Oh my god, okay. Variety. Variety, okay. E-R-I-T-Y. Okay. Now we got 557 words. Variety. Varieties. Whoa, crap. I just doubled up everything there. Didn't want to do that. So, varieties. Yeah, varieties. Very, I want to say slow to swing, because that sounds weird. Are very unwieldy, let's say that. Okay, that's definitely not wieldy. That's probably closer. Alright, I think that's all. No, it's not the last row. And we come to guns. Don't want to say long guns, it's more of a modern term for describing a rifle. Important there, so like mentioning that because like if you, since weapons have a, you know, they have a graduated damage scale because it's a game and you have to do more damage with things you find later on. You know, like a pistol you find at the end of the game might have the same damage output as a rifle from maybe the beginning of the game, but there are different tiers of different classes of guns. One's like maybe, you know, you're going to consider like a branching tier in terms of the damage that they do. Maybe the one at the end is like a tier 12 or 13 weapon as opposed to the one at the beginning, which is like a tier 1 or tier 2. Alright, so there will be some sort of ammo system as well. I'll have to figure out how to do that though. It'll be a plug-in kind of situation, I think, again. Or maybe we said the secondary is the ammo. So next, if you're dual wielding 2 pistols, maybe it'll be an accessory then that you put on that'll impact or change the way that the weapons work. So like if you have like some type of ammo that's like a shredding kind of ammo, it'd make the any guns you have equipped to do more damage to unarmored targets and cause more bleeding, as opposed to maybe an armor piercing round that do more damage to armored targets. Something similar to that. penetrating power. Okay. Okay. I got a few windows here probably. So there's 2, 3, 4. So one here. Okay, size. Okay. So for another one there. Okay, let's hit OK and see how we did with what we have so far. Okay, where's... Nice, we got everything done. Everything was done correctly, except for this last window where we had this down here. Should be there. Okay. Cool. Alright, so that's all for sides. Whips. Another short one. Blade ships, holy crap, whoops. Oh hell. I didn't have that set to batch. And cause... Nope, nope, get back. Get back here, Herschel. Bleeding. Leather or... Wouldn't necessarily call it a spring. Coiled wire. Yeah, that's. I mean, blade whips in general are kind of a thing. But this is like a specific thing about Soul Calibur. Specific little Easter egg call out, whatever you want to call it, homage, sort of thing. I think we got some windows here. Maybe just one. So there's 3, 4. And yeah, that'll be on the new window there. So whips. Now gloves, knuckles, and clubs. Okay. And yeah, I probably got, holy hell. Yeah, there's probably at least 2 windows there, if not 3. So there's the 4th there. Whoops. Extra space. Don't need that. That goes over the line. So does that.